Hello, we are back on the MoRo Talk Show, and I'm excited to have as my guest Janine McClanahan, who is a past president of the club, a past district governor, and a past secretary for our club. So, Janine, I like to just jump right into things.
Let's do it.
Okay. How long have you been in Rotary, and who is your sponsor?
I've been in a long time, Ryan. I joined in January of 1992, and my sponsor was Bill Seavey. He's no longer in the club, active in the community still, but that's how it all began for me.
Neat. Okay. What was it that hooked you into Rotary? So what made you want to stay, your Rotary moment, as we say?
There is no doubt, but for me, it has been the people and the relationships. And I've watched some of the earlier talk shows that you've done, and it's that way for really most of us in Rotary. We are meeting people that we never thought that we'd meet, interacting with people, learning about ourselves, others, the community, and everything. So that's certainly part of it, but another huge part is the good that we as Rotarians do in the community. We have so many projects going on, whether it's working with children, working with seniors, rebuilding parks in the community, and then we go beyond our borders here, and we partner with Rotary clubs around the world to do international projects. So the doing good and feeling good about it, and then, of course, the relationships.
Would you say, Janine, it was right away you felt that, or did it take a little while? Did it take like 6 months, a year?
It really took a while, and what I began to realize is that the way for me that all started to happen was to volunteer for things, volunteer to be on a committee. As time went on, chair a committee, and so this gives you the elbow-to-elbow interaction with people. And an important thing too is when we have fundraisers, you know, back in the day of pancake breakfasts or whatever might be appropriate for the organization, get in and rub elbows with your fellow club members, and then the relationships truly begin to develop at that point.
Right, get involved.
Get involved, and yes, it takes a while for us to feel our comfort level. We do have a large club. I'd been in the community, you know, basically all my life, so there was a good number of people that I knew right from the beginning, many that I knew of because they were leaders in the community, in business, or whatever. So there is a sense of intimidation, but put yourself out there for the right results, best results.
Right. I'm going to say that I have never felt anybody in Rotary has ever been cliquish, looked down on me, thought, who is this guy? I've never felt that. I've always felt very welcome and very, you know, accepted. And if I don't know the person, or if I didn't know the person at first, it was, hey, who are you? You know,
Right.
how long have you been here? Oh, you're not from Modesto. Where were you before? And I've always found people were very friendly.
And I agree with you. Our traditional seating pre-COVID at the DoubleTree were tables of 8. And we were always, and still are when we get back to that environment, I'm sure, encouraged to sit at different tables every week. Don't have your group of 7 others that you sit with every week, because truly you're defeating the purpose of being in an organization to expand your own circle of friends and acquaintances and all of that. And just like you say, when you sit at a table with people you don't know, the conversation starts out, you know, what do you do? Who are you? You've got a red badge, which means you are a new member, rather than a blue badge, which means you've been in longer. It's all right there for us, for sure. I agree.
Yeah. And I would just say, you know, to maybe some new members, if they're watching this and they're apprehensive or whatever, just don't be. Just say hi. And somebody's probably going to start talking to you because they're going to see that red badge. They've been in that, maybe it's been a long time, but they've been in that situation and they know what they need to do. And I just found everyone to be very friendly.
I agree. the right encouragement for sure for newer members. Put yourself out there and do it.
Yeah, good. Okay. We hinted at this a little bit. Your Rotary moment. Why did you get involved and decide to stay? You've been in Rotary a long time. So now that you've been in it for a while, what has caused you to stay into it?
I'm going to repeat pretty much what I
Yeah.
said previously. Again, the relationships with people. I've made friends for life with a good number of fellow Rotarians. And again, the services that we provide to our community. I don't know if this is a good time to say, but I'd like to share that internationally, worldwide, the Rotary motto is service above self. We talk about that at our own meetings. I've been to other Rotary Club meetings, and it is a focus of who we are and what we do. And so that is the person I like to be, and Rotary helps me accomplish that for sure. For sure. Another thing, I was able to go on a trip to El Salvador, Central America. And there were about 10 of us from our club that went down there, and we toured some hospitals. And the goal was to see where we could be sending some medical equipment. And you see the needs, and knowing you're just at one little snapshot of what needs are around the world, and then knowing that we came back and we sent a container of medical equipment to some of those hospitals that we saw, that's powerful. That's very, very powerful. And I can't do that on my own, but in the environment and the partnerships that we have in Rotary makes it possible, for sure.
Janine, I want to touch on something that you brought up a little bit before, and that is, in survey after survey, we find people join Rotary in the United States, that is, for networking capabilities. And then I find once we're in Rotary, we kind of forget that. And we want to, of course, we love the good things that we do, right? And we love service projects, and we love going internationally and doing service projects there. But when we're talking to people that are outside the club, maybe we shouldn't be leading with that.
The networking opportunity truly is one more advantage of opportunity, let's say that, opportunity in Rotary. We fail to forget sometimes that our founder, Paul Harris, an attorney in Chicago, 1905 is when the organization started, was new to the community, and he gathered together 3 other men in different professions and said, let's meet, let's learn about each other, let's learn about our professions. And this is how Rotary started, the accountant, the attorney, et cetera. So it was vocation-based. This gave individuals an opportunity to find resources for themselves personally if they are in need of a banking relationship or a real estate relationship or any kind of engineering or architecture, whatever. This is how it all started, and to feel that we can't or shouldn't continue with that is really a misnomer. Our vocation is important to who we are and to what we are in the community, and we need to learn about each other in those aspects so that we have resources when we need them and want them.
Right, exactly. Kind of a question out of left field. When I was president-elect, I met with some presidents that were president before me, and I would ask them this question. I always found it interesting. Is there anything that when you were president you look back and say, I should have spent more time worried about this? Or conversely, gosh, I really spent a lot of time worrying about this or being up late at night, and at the end it didn't really matter and I shouldn't have worried about it. So I asked that question to you.
So for me, to say in a real general and truthful sense, it all works out. You're going to find that yourself. You're halfway through your year and then some. You probably, a month and a half to go is all. Yeah. And it really does all work out. But I did watch your interview with fellow Rotarian Kevin Wright. And we know Kevin is calm. Through the worst of AV catastrophes, he is calm. So in listening to Kevin and reflecting on that question, I wish I had learned to breathe a little bit better and just relax. And that does come with time in the position. Another thing that I reflected on, I wish on a weekly basis I had made a point and stuck to it of leaving my office earlier. My business is such that you sit down with clients. You have a client in front of you, you wanted to leave 10 minutes ago. What do? If I had been more strict about that and not come into the door of the DoubleTree in such a rush, such a panic, not a panic, but in a sense, truly in a sense. So if I had given myself a better, longer stretch of time pre-meeting, it would have just brought everything down, from minute one. And after the fact, I know I enjoyed my time, and I felt like I did the best I could at that point in my life. There have been times when I now have more time, and I think, if only I could be president again, because I have the time to pay more attention to details or more attention to reaching out to fellow club members to participate and all of that. But the reality is, I'm not going to be president again. We have a large club. Our pool of capable people is just large, fortunately. And so I like to reflect and think I did the best I could at that chapter in my life with business, family, etc.
Excellent answer. I think in the interview, and I hope I did, Kevin taught me to relax.
You said that. That was great.
Right, but it was true because, I wasn't wound tight because of, I'm just more of a wound tight guy, but it was because I just wanted this to go flawlessly for our members.
Right.
I wanted to, this is what I do for a living, so I wanted to go as seamlessly as possible for them because I want to do a good meeting for them. So, but, at the end, I just had to go, well, we're going to work as hard as we can, and it's going to be what it's going to be, and then there it is.
I will tell you something that did concern me, and I will be honest, I have no memory of that year and to what degree of success I was, and that was in being funny or having any sense of humor. Sometimes I think people look at me and think, I don't know what they think, but I really do like to have fun. I really can be silly, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know how much of that I portrayed from the podium.
Right.
I would end every meeting with a line or two of travel trivia.
Oh, okay.
That maybe was something that, it just was something most people wouldn't have known or thought about. And maybe that helped a little bit. I did a couple things that were first. I read a book to the club from the podium.
Okay.
So I was president 2001, 2002.
Okay.
So we're going back quite a few years. And I had been exposed to a children's book, and I was going to look up the title before our interview so I could say it out loud because it is worth getting for children, truly. And it's about a box of crayons.
Okay.
And that the crayons, of course, are individual in their color characteristics, whether they, are a loud color that shouts or a softer color. And so the crayons are personified as individual characters, let's say, in this storybook. And at the end of the story, the crayons come together to make a rainbow and to make a nature scene. And so the essence of this story is we're different. If we work together, look at the results that we can have. So you go back that number of years, and that's a message that we didn't talk about, maybe like we certainly do today. I have no idea what any of the members thought about me reading them a storybook, a child's storybook. I don't remember that anybody commented. probably eyes rolled a little bit, but you know what? I wanted to do it. The message was there, so I did it. And the other thing that I did was, we are all religions and different ethnicities in our club, which is the way it should be. And I don't know that much about Jewish holidays. I'm of a Christian background. And so I called a couple of our members that I knew were Jewish, and I said, Passover or Hanukkah or something is coming. I think we should be more informed as a community, as a membership, to be knowing something about these parts of the Jewish culture. Well, none of them wanted to stand up and talk about it. So guess what? I researched. I stood up in front of the group and said, I want you all to know what Hanukkah is about or Passover is about, and I want to share what I've learned and the enlightenment I feel that I've had. So those are just some of those out there things that you do, you try, you don't know if they go over at all, but it's, your own little touch you want to put on your year. So I tried. And I don't remember how that went over.
I like the comment you made, Janine, about, the trying different things during your year, reading the children's book, talking about those holidays. I like to, of course, have fun. I would say my style of humor is a little bit smart alecky, probably more so than it needs to be. But, I think the downfall, I think I've gotten a little bit more serious as the year has gone on, because when the meeting's over and I'm on my way home and I think, oh gosh, I hope people knew I was kidding about that. And, I would probably 75 to 80% of the club does. And, but gosh, maybe there's 20% who doesn't and thinks I think this is all a big joke. And, you start to second guess yourself. And so I've probably gotten more serious, and it's, you want the meetings to be fun. Right. You don't want them to be a total party like free-for-all, but you want them to be fun because then people want to come.
Right.
They want to come and they want to learn about Rotary, but they also want to come because I know I'm going to have a good time.
And it's a break from the workday.
Right.
Yep, you can take a deep breath from whatever's going on at your office or whatever you have ahead of you when you go back to your office. Yeah.
I think there was one time I left frustrated, and that was because just not being present or whatever, and that's because something was going on during the meeting. But otherwise, every time if I came in there and it was a tough day or whatever, I left always feeling better than when I went in.
I have a good story to tell her. I think it's good. Hopefully you will too. We had a member, Sophia, a number of years ago, and she gave her new member talk. And this is something that we all do after we accomplish a certain number of things. We give our new member talk. We go from our red badge to a blue badge. Well, part of Sophia's new member talk was she looked at coming to Rotary meetings like a recess in the middle of her day. And I thought that was the best analogy. Again, you can have all sorts of pressures in your morning and your afternoon, but you get to go to recess. And you think of kids in school and how much they need recess. You know what? As adults, we do too. And so for a while, we were picking up on Sophia's reference, and we'd say, we need more recess, or remember to come to your recess on Tuesday, kind of thing. That was refreshing. I thought that was a very, very good analogy for us.
I like it.
Yep.
Okay, shifting a little bit. How does one become a district governor?
You have to have a passion for Rotary, who we are, what we do. You have to have an interest in people, there's no doubt. And the process in our district, and every district could be different, starts with an individual going to their club, the president, the board of directors, and saying, I'd like to put my hat in the ring for district governor. And the club board needs to prepare a resolution, just a little nomination form that the Rotary Club of Modesto wants to nominate, so-and-so for the office of district governor. So it starts with that. Then there is a nominating committee where the candidates come forward, in front of this group of 12, and you have a series of questions to answer. And then there is a vote by that group of 12. And the 12 are representatives from all throughout our district. Our district on the north is to Galt, on the south is to Madera, on the west over to Patterson, Newman, Gustine, and then into the foothills, Mariposa, Yosemite, Oakhurst, all of that. So that is the boundaries of our district, and there is a representative from throughout our district that votes then on the individual to be district governor. What works in your favor is your involvement in your club, your involvement in the district. The district has many, many committees to run scholarship programs, to run outdoor camps for high school kids, to vocational service, district community projects, etc. Get your name in the hat to be on those committees. Start to make a difference, and you know, you got to enjoy it along the way. So be an involved and engaged Rotarian, and it opens doors if you'd like them.
Would you say it opens opportunities?
Yes. Aren't you smart? You'd think you were president.
Well.
You knew the theme for this Rotary year.
Yes.
You were right. And again, you get to meet so many more people. So now I have Rotarian friends and very dear friends that span, you know, the length and breadth of our district.
One thing I want to talk about with that, and you had, I wanted to jump in earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt you. You know, when you become a Rotarian and you were talking about, you know, going international and doing trips, something at the informational meeting, so when somebody's joining as a new member, Jeff Cowan and I always like to say, if you're ever on vacation, go to a Rotary meeting. It is probably the last thing on your mind, but do it.
Do it.
Because it's great. If it's the United States, you're going to see a different club. But when it's international, it's so much better. And you have instant friends. These people will give you the shirt off their back because you are another Rotarian.
Former Modesto mayor, past club president Peter Johansson would talk about the clubs around the world that he has visited. And, you know, if you are not able to speak and understand the language of the country where you are assigned a Rotarian who is your interpreter. He talks about being in Switzerland and being invited to someone's Swiss chalet for a weekend or back another visit in the summer, or to come to weddings or whatever. These stories are endless. So Jim and I, my husband, we were in St. Andrews in Scotland, and actually the little inn we were staying in, there's the Rotary sign. We meet on Tuesday night. And we said, well, we're Rotarians from California, may we join you? At that point in time, the Rotary clubs in Great Britain were not yet allowing women.
Oh, okay.
So there were no women in the room except myself, but
Okay.
they did say I was welcome. You start your meeting, everyone stands and you toast the Queen, which really
interesting.
was kind of fun. And then the jokes maybe were a little more off color than any I've heard ever at our club, but you are at an all-men's club at that point in time. This has changed, knock wood, and being thankful for that. And then my husband's biggest pleasure was to stand up in front of this group. There maybe were 35, 40 individuals in the room, and to not only introduce me, of course, as his wife, a fellow Rotarian, an incoming president of the largest Rotary club in the district, a club of 275. He thought, I'm going to give it to him. You know, that women can be part of all of this and contribute, etc. So that was great fun. And I did have a number of the men come up to me afterwards and saying, hope you were okay with that joke. And I said, of course I was, but thank you. You know, it was a good experience. But yes, anywhere in the world. Hawaii, I've been in Honolulu at the Royal Hawaiian Hotel. They give you a lei as a guest. So
neat.
Just
And
good experience.
good for Jim. Bravo, Jim.
He had more fun with that. Yes, he says, I'm really going to let him have it. So,
Good. So On the question I asked you about district governor, how does one become? Had you then, when you were president, either during that time or after that time, had you gone around and started volunteering more in the district to be on committees and things like that?
Definitely,
Okay.
definitely. Whether it's a district conference committee, again, scholarship committee, yes, I wanted to expand my knowledge, my circle of Rotary friends. And I had a seated governor say to me, Janine, we need to get you to run for governor. There's no campaigning, so it really isn't running, but to submit your name.
Sure.
That you're interested. And I thought, well, if that person has faith in me, and I enjoy the world of Rotary and the people and projects, et cetera, and the work involved, I'm going to do it. So talk to Jim. Talk to my office staff, because as you very well know, leadership, whether it's a club or a district, certainly takes time. Everybody was on board, and I went for it.
That has got to be, we talk about the work about being president of our size club, which is a lot of work. What does that involve, district governor involved?
There is a requirement, and I do need to say perhaps it's changed. I was governor 2008, 2009.
Okay.
So again, this is a while ago, and we know things are always changing.
Sure.
But we were required at that time during the first 6 months of our term of office, so between July 1 and the end of December, to make an official visit, it's called, to each of the
Right.
clubs in our district. And you, as the governor or the speaker, if there's any presentations the club would like you to make. We had 55 clubs at that point in time, and the goal really is to get it done well before Thanksgiving, because you get into the holidays and you just lose interest. Not you, maybe personally, because
Sure.
the clock still ticks for you, but it becomes a burden more to the clubs and others. So you move very, very quickly, and it might be a 7 a.m. breakfast meeting in one town and a noon meeting somewhere else, and maybe even a dinner meeting. And you also meet with the board of directors of each of the organization. So if it's a breakfast club that meets, say, at 7 in the morning, you'd go the afternoon, evening before and have your meeting with the board. And depending upon how close you are to home, do you go home or do you have an overnight? And then you're there for the 7 a.m. in the morning. I had a fun time at the Turlock Breakfast Club, Turlock Sunrise. A couple fellows came up to me and said, we always love when the district governor comes, because we get steak and eggs for breakfast. So your meeting, isn't all bad. And yes, you can put some people to sleep with your talk, that's for sure. But the joy of learning about 55 clubs, whether they're 20 strong or 120 strong, what this group of individuals does in their community is awesome. And you come home very, very impressed every time you've made a visit. So lots of time to answer your question. My Sundays would be preparing for the clubs that I would visit that week, and getting to know about the clubs, the leadership, and just taking it a week at a time. So Sunday was very much devoted to what I needed to do during the week.
But very uplifting once you got done with it.
100%.
Sure. So not only, you're once again seeing Rotary at a different level. So you always get inspired, at least I do, I shouldn't say always, knowing the kind of magic that goes on behind the scenes of our club, right?
Good people doing good things.
Great things. And then, but now you're seeing that there's a lot of other clubs out there doing
Right.
that.
Yeah, we're not unique in that.
Right.
By any stretch of the imagination. This is what Rotarians do. I came up with something a whole bunch of years ago, never really took off, but I thought Rotarians do the right things for the right reasons.
Right.
So I like that. So I haven't said that in probably 10 years. I just thought of it.
I like it.
Yep.
Now, you're president, you're district governor. You were also our long-serving club secretary for the club. How did that happen?
That I was. Kenny Friedman followed me as president. We had our club secretary certainly in place, and I'm going to say it was about April, towards the end of her year, and Bill just was ready to retire, etc. And I talked to my husband, talked to my staff, you know this drill when maybe you're going to take on something else. And I went to Kenny and said, I will volunteer as interim secretary until the board decides what the next step is. I said, basically, I know what to do, and so I'll keep us afloat. 14 years later, I was still there. So that was rather interim. What we really ended up doing, and it in quotes kind of needed to be done, club secretary in most clubs is so different than what we do.
Right.
We at Modesto Rotary, because of our size and our operation, we have an office. We have 2 paid staff people. And so the title now really is executive assistant. And you do the financials, you do the newsletter, you do the roster, you do much more than report attendance to Rotary International. You do much more than enter new members into the system and delete members that have moved out of the area and are no longer in our club. It really is a full working business office. And I loved every minute of it, and when it came time to step down, just because you need new blood, getting old, you know, and all those kinds of things, I couldn't talk about it for the longest time without just choking up and tearing up, because it was a wonderful experience. I knew all of the members as the new ones come in, you know, all the paperwork is done through the office. I do not know all our new members now, and I feel sad about that. So I need to make a better effort at that. So it evolved. It was not something that I had on my to-do list, to say the least, but I loved every minute of it.
Very good. Something that surprised me, I know Kathy and Deborah are great. They love our club. They love our members. I decided this year to do a holiday card for everybody. And so I just said, the thing I hate most about anything like this is addressing. I said, I love making out the card. I don't like addressing, right? Who does? So I put that to Kathy and Deborah. They said, well, we can just print the labels. And I said, oh, great. Why don't we have a little label spreading party? It wound up being just Deborah and I. And so we just sat and we had some hot chocolate and put on Christmas music and did labels, you know, for these letters and or notes or cards or what have you. She loves this club.
Absolutely.
And that was, I guess, maybe surprising to me. Like, it's more than a job, and the amount of love and just great things she had to say about all of our members, and she'd tear up and everything. And I know Kathy feels that same way too, because I've had other conversations with Kathy, but they really love the club. And I think it is in that role where you get to see more maybe behind the scenes things.
I felt that one of my many responsibilities of that position was to make the president look absolutely as good as possible. We needed to make sure all the props that you need on a weekly basis are there, whether it's the gift or the books or banners or pins or whatever. And to think ahead for you, because the presidents all have day jobs. There is no doubt, and you put a tremendous amount of time and effort and energy into the position, as I know, having had been president at that point. And we need to be the best resource and the best support absolutely possible. And those two, Kathy and Deborah and I worked together for a number of years. Another sadness in my heart to not be working in the office. And she took it as seriously as I did.
Oh, yeah.
And I know Kathy does as well. We want to look professional. We want to look prepared for sure. We want to have fun. Yes, we make mistakes because we are human.
Right.
And you fess up and own up to them and move on from there. The one that really got my heart in a very special way, Ross Lee was our president. And from the Rotary office to the meeting, I was supposed to bring something. I went to him, we hadn't started the meeting yet, and I said, Ross, I forgot the item. I can run back and get it. What do you think? And he says, Janine, I've got your back. That man endeared himself to me because not only was I intent upon having his back, he said to me he had my back. And I thought, that's what we do. Bottom line, that's what this team that works together does. We have each other's back for the good of the club, the individual, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Good way to put it. And Ross Lee was my first president when I joined the club.
Okay, well, it was at one of those meetings
Hey,
where I
there
didn't
you
have
go.
something there.
Okay. And he's become a good friend of mine. He's a good guy.
He is a good guy.
Yeah. I'm going to flip from the order I gave you, so I apologize. You've recently done some zone work. Now, what has that been about?
I'm going to back into that if I
Sure.
may. Rotary is an international organization, I know you know this, with 35,000 plus clubs around the world in over 200 countries. So the world is divided into zones, and then the zones have districts. So you start at the club. We are in District 5220, the Madeira de Galt, et cetera. And then we are part of Zone 27, which is pretty much from us south over to Arizona, Nevada. But for in our zone, along with our neighboring zone to the north, there are like 25 districts. And if you said there were 30, 40 clubs per district, you get a sense that this is a very, very large area. So the two zones that really cover, we call ourselves now the Big West. And so it's Hawaii, it's Oregon, Washington, et cetera, moving all the way over. And they've joined parts of Colorado in with us. So we have a representative to the Rotary International Board of Directors. There are meetings that go on, events that go on, projects that go on that are zone-oriented. So I was recruited to be involved with some zone events where you get 600-700 people. They could be anywhere in the zone. I worked on one event that was in Colorado, another British Columbia, and even Rotary International has a worldwide annual convention. There was a convention in Sydney, Australia, and I was recruited to be on the committee to put on a reception in Sydney. And you know, you just don't go for a weekend to Sydney to check out venues. So we're calling, another gal and I were in charge of this, and we're calling different hotels in Sydney, what's your ballroom capacity, getting menus for your hors d'oeuvres you're going to have served and all of that. So again, it just expands your horizon, but you've got to be out there, you've got to be visible. If the call comes one way or another, you see it in an email, we need volunteers to work on something, raise your hand. I now have Rotarian friends throughout these zones.
And you're going to learn something too, right?
Always.
Right.
Always, yeah. You learn more about more wonderful people that are doing the right things for the right reason. Yeah, it's great.
Love it. We were talking right before we started taping about it was one of these zone roles you were doing, and they made you stage manager.
Right.
So tell our viewers about that.
That was an experience I started out very nervous about and then got excited about because it really is fun. You dress in black. You are behind the scenes. Again, you're in a room of 650 people. Quite an elaborate AV setup with extremely large screens. You've got the president of Rotary International, who was from Sri Lanka or is from Germany or from Georgia, you know, anywhere in the world. You have past Rotary International presidents. Rotary has our own foundation, so you might have the chair of the Rotary Foundation. These are the biggest of big VIPs in the Rotary organization. All of a sudden, the AV team is handing me mics and the battery packs
Right.
and saying, you need to mic up President Carl or you know someone. So you're approaching this president of the international organization who's going to be going out on stage, and you're hooking a mic pack on their belt, and you're
Right.
putting this on their lapel, and you're nudging them when it's their turn to go on, and you're seeing their demeanor some pace backstage, but they go out and they're as calm and collected as could be. But it's just quite an experience to be able to say, I have met and interacted with the president of Rotary International. I assure you they never knew my name. They don't know who I am. But these are wonderful, wonderful human beings. We're back to good people doing good things, the leadership skills they have, their businesses that they own, operate, and run in their country, whether it's Taiwan or India or where, because the presidents are from all around the world. But I did that for about 3-4 years, and I got to the point where I just enjoyed it more and more because my comfort level, I learned to breathe, as Kevin would say. I learned to breathe and to realize these are just nice people who are up on stage next,
Interesting.
That was good.
Now, having done all of these different roles, do you have a favorite? A favorite role that you've done within Rotary, be it president, district governor, your own roles, or
I would
secretary?
have to, I forget secretary, but you're right. You know what? Club president. When I was president, again, I mentioned this earlier, we were 275 members, give or take. I was elected as the first woman president of our club. We were always known as the Old Man's Club because, as many might know, we've now celebrated 100 years anniversary of our club. In fact, we've hit 101. And the history of our club in the community is long, and the early pictures of the membership, the men all serious face in their suits and all of this, and we've certainly evolved from that. But I felt a tremendous responsibility to our members. And I didn't want, as I'm coming in the door and going to the podium as president, I didn't want male members to go out the back door saying, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up for a woman in the club, let alone in leadership. But I was so honored with that selection, and I felt such a responsibility, just like you say, you do every day, every week to the members to provide a good meeting environment. And again, the strength of the relationships. And I could piggyback and say in some ways the secretary position is the same. I enjoy being a resource for people. And I don't want to make it sound like I enjoy being a know-it-all because I don't know it all. But I really like as club secretary when a committee chair or a member, anyone would call, someone from another club or throughout the district would call and say, can you help me figure this out, or do you know this or that? And I'd say no or yes, but let me look into it and get an answer and get back to you. So I really enjoy being a resource, which again, in a way, is helping individuals look good and grow and enjoy the Rotary experience. So club president, because your peers have elected you. It's special.
I appreciate you being a resource. So I got a Paul Harris for a friend of mine that I actually grew up with, and we wanted to present it to him, his president, myself, but he lives in Fort Worth, Texas. So it was, how do we get this for him? But he's not going to know because otherwise it's going to get sent to him. And we wanted to divert it here and all these special kind of things. And all I had to do was contact you, and you got it squared away. So thank you.
We did it. My pleasure.
Yeah.
Those puzzles are fun to work out, for sure.
It was, and it was a neat moment for him, and he was very surprised.
Right. And a good moment for you.
Yeah,
There's
sure,
no
of
doubt.
course. Right. We were going to write the Rotarian magazine about that. What do you think? Think we had a chance of
I think you
getting
should.
in? Okay.
I think you should. Yep.
Good. Stephen, can you get that thing we talked about? Okay. We've got something for you. We'll probably cut out a little bit of this. Tell me when you're on your way.
I'm on my way currently.
Now, a little birdie told me Is it, I don't know if this is true. Is it your birthday today?
It is.
Well, happy birthday to you.
Well, I thank you.
You're welcome. And to celebrate your birthday, we have a little treat. If we can get the candle lit.
There it goes.
Okay, good. We've got a little treat.
Oh, my
This is
goodness.
Stephen.
Stephen, thank you.
Happy birthday to you. I am perpetually on a diet, so I will not be joining you.
Okay.
But we did want to say happy birthday, and you can make a wish.
I will do that. Now, is this one of these candles that won't blow out?
I would never do that to you.
Like you say, you're a bit of a tease or
Right.
whatever. Here
No,
I
I
go.
wouldn't.
Here goes the wish.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
I will enjoy. I will
Happy
enjoy.
birthday.
I won't take a bite now because you know what? I'd have it all down
Right.
in front of me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Happy birthday
That's
to
yummy.
you.
You bet.
Thank you for all you do for the club still. You know,
Enjoy it.
you like being that resource, and I know I do, and I know the members love having you as that resource, so thank you. And I love your passion for Rotary, and I think the club does too, so I think I could say we. And I just wanted to get you on so we could have a discussion about not only the club and being club president and all those fun things, but beyond the club.
Sure.
District, zone, and those things that you've done. And, you know, it keeps, for you, from what I'm hearing, it keeps getting more rewarding, right?
Oh, it does. Yes.
And so people, members who are maybe ready to take that jump can think about that because it's rewarding, it's a lot of work. And hey, if you've done presidency or whatever, maybe give yourself a year off. But then start thinking about those things
Right.
because it only gets more rewarding the more you go up. And what I like too, what you've mentioned, Janine, is these relationships that you keep building around the world.
Right. I agree. It doesn't get old. A comment that I'd kind of like to close with for me, if we're ready to close, is like anything, for Rotary, you get out of it what you put into it. So if you put energy, you put your heart, you put passion into it, you get that in return and then some. If you go just on Tuesdays to have a meal, you're going to wonder why you're a member. So put some effort into it, and the rewards will keep you coming back.
Thank you.
For sure. You're
All right.
welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Janine, for being on. And that's another episode of the MoRo Talk Show.